Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another versus battle type of matchup. Going to be giving my thoughts on who would win between two different versions of these characters. So not their regular, everyday, normal versions. And that is of the Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, or Battle of Gods, Saiyan God Mode Goku versus Superman Prime 1 million. Who would win? Death battle. Alright, good stuff. So I wanted to weigh in on this one since people sometimes bring these up in my other Superman versus Goku videos. If you guys want to see them, I've done two. I've done the first one that was posted on YouTube a couple years ago, well before most other people did theirs, Screw Attack or anybody else. And basically in that, what I said was that if you take your regular Superman and you take Goku at, let's say, Super Saiyan level 1 or Super Saiyan level 2, somewhere around that range, and you were to have them go up against each other at an equal power level, who would win? Now that's the key. Equal power level. Okay, people always start saying, well, Superman can do this feat and Superman can do that, Goku can do this, Goku can do that, and they start that argument of power. So this is a different conversation for this video. That video, I'm giving you my thoughts on who would win at an equal power range, because you can pick a Superman from the comics of a certain type of comic like this one, where it's in the 700th century, you know, from the 21st century to the 700th century. So this is way in the future, which is Superman Prime 1 million. And likewise, you could do the same thing with Goku. You could pick a Goku for a versus matchup when he's young, when he's at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, or you could pick one later on when he's in Super Saiyan 3, 2, 1, God mode. The characters go through a lot of progression depending on which version you're picking. So at an equal power range between the two, if you guys want to see who I think would win, go ahead and click the link in the description and you can watch that video on how that would play out. This is a different conversation. We're picking two particular times, or two particular versions of each character at different times, okay? We're picking God Mode Goku from Battle of Gods, so basically the one that fights against Beerus, who is essentially a Super Saiyan God, or Saiyan God, I guess I should say, since Super Saiyan doesn't really matter anymore. As we got to see, Super Saiyan level 3 was no match for Beerus. He was able to, you know, kind of give him a chop, and that was about it. He was out. So with the Saiyan God mode, how does that change his powers? How does that affect him? Is open to interpretation. There's no exact power level you can put him at, I think, that makes sense for God mode. And some people have basically stated that it doesn't really make him more powerful. It allows him to do damage to gods. So beforehand, because he's not a god, he's not able to do any damage to Beerus, and Beerus can trounce him with one poke or you know, punch or anything of the sort will put him down, because Beerus is a god and Goku's not a god. So this video depends a lot on your interpretation of how you look at God mode. Neither one is really right or wrong at this point. You could say he's power level, I don't know, 1 trillion something if you want to, or you could look at him as it's not a power level thing, it's a god thing. If you're not a god, you can't fight a god. Make sense? I think that makes sense too. So whichever way you want to look at it is your choice. I personally think that he is, you know, uber powerful, but that a power level doesn't really make sense when he's in God mode. Superman 1 million, Superman Prime, who's basically survived, let's see, 679 centuries after essentially losing interest in his Earth life, or his human life, I guess you could kind of say it. How basically he sees everyone he cares about die around him. Every Justice League member, or most of them anyway, unless they're like him, like, you know, don't die. Lois, all these people he cares about over the long term do die off, and he survives because he's Superman, of course. So he loses interest in that, and basically he travels the universe, learning about the universe, learning new abilities, basically studying, absorbing energy to the point where he's seen in the comic book storyline essentially coming out of the sun. So he can basically chill in the sun, absorb the energy, and he's absolutely fine. He's also gold all over versus Goku being, you know, red. Not that the colors really matter, but just to give you a visual. And his greatest feat, I'll put the link to the wiki in the description below, is basically that he has studied under the source itself. So in the DC universe, the source. That is also open to your interpretation of how you look at religion, the universe, things like that. Was the universe created by a source? Is it God? Is it like the one, you know, true God? You know, like the way a lot of religions look at God. If that's the way you want to look at it, that's fine. And he himself has some abilities that the source has passed on to him. So his powers are sort of unknown to that point, to that extent. But he can live inside of a sun and feel very content, I suppose. And just like meditate inside of a sun, I guess you could say. So this is a very loose type of versus matchup here, and you could probably make a case for either one to win, but in this situation, Superman Prime 1 million, it seems to me, is basically, it's so far in the future and so far into his development that he's basically unbeatable. He's basically undefeatable. They've essentially created a version of Superman that is the most epic, or I guess beyond Superman you could think of. So even though Goku would be in his God mode state and is, you know, has all those abilities, has trained and everything like that, this one here I don't view as more of like a fight versus like a where do they stack up. In 679 centuries, where would that Superman stack up after he had been studied under the source? Kind of similar to the Beerus Goku fight where Beerus just taps him and he's out. That kind of thing. The power would be so different between the two for one or the other that fighting prowess wouldn't really matter. It'd be more about their stature at that point, right? Goku would still be fighting normally the way he does with his God mode, but I just view Superman Prime 1 million as basically being that he's studied under the source, or he's essentially been given powers by God. So you could kind of look at him as a form of a god too. He's like basically a Superman god essentially also. Between the two, I would think his power would be just like basically unbeatable. You know, pure energy, not really even in a physical form necessarily anymore. More of kind of like breaking that universal barrier in the multiverse to being able to exist in and out between this kind of existential thinking, I guess you'd have to apply to a Superman from that time. So is he even really beatable? Even if God Mode Goku destroyed his body, he'd be like, you know, he can exist outside of the universe, I would say, probably. So even then, you know, he would be able to exist again. And this one is a really out there type of matchup. You know, I think you have to think of it that way in terms of how their powers would be at that point. So with Goku being that he's more grounded in a body, he has a body, he fights with his body and uses energy similar to how he normally would, I would have to go with Superman 1 million in this conversation, because his power is that, I would say, is that kind of out there, that no matter how good Goku is, his existence is not really on just this plane. He can exist on different planes. He can, you know, he can probably create create whatever he wants. He's got more powers over the universe than a God Mode Goku would. So this is not just a typical battle, typical death battle type matchup, because as Superman Prime, I don't really think he can die. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think he can just die. I think he exists in and outside as an entity of energy at this point, is the way I would look at him. So he's basically unbeatable, is what I'm saying. You know, he's uber powerful. He's unbeatable. Nobody could really beat him, unless you're talking like some of the super cosmic, even beyond cosmic, you know, type of god characters in the Marvel and DC universe, like Living Tribunal, things like this, the Source. You know, you get into these kind of really out there type of cosmic characters, even beyond like Dr. Manhattan and characters like that. So in this matchup, I'm going to have to go with Superman 1 million. Yeah, he would beat God Mode Goku. However, he's had a lot more time. You know, where they go with Goku, will he still have a progression? Will they create a storyline in, you know, I don't know, 600 centuries where Goku's at a different point where he's become even some kind of different god. He's a god already, but where would he go from there? And how those universes kind of look at each other is different. Whereas in the Dragon Ball universe, the gods and the King Kais and Supreme Kais and things like that, they have physical bodies that are more grounded like that. In the DC universe, I tend to think of characters at that kind of power range are extending our imagination in terms of how powerful they could really be in between realities, multiverse, and all these different types of things. So let me know what you guys think about that. I don't think, if you did pick Goku, I don't think you're wrong. It's just this is the type of discussion that we're at. But I would have to say in this, you're not dealing with your normal Superman versus Goku. You're not dealing with a normal fight. You're dealing with some really out there concepts. And I would have to go with Superman Prime 1 million as winning this one. I think that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think about that. And feel free to look up. I'll put the links to the wikis in that and to my other death battle matchups between the two. All those links will be in the description. Check them out if you're interested. And if you're new to the channel and you want to subscribe, I do videos like this whenever I can think of them. So all the time, basically, as well as reviews and stuff like that. So feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to. And yeah, if you like the video, please thumb it up, like it below. If you want to help support the channel, please share it, favorite it, and I'll call it here. That's it for this death battle matchup, this versus who would win matchup. I'll see you for the next one, guys. It's Trev, and I'm saying peace.